What's going on, everybody? This is an episode from the No Gimmicks Needed Wrestling podcast. Do you like podcasts and you want to see the full podcast? Make sure you check out the No Gimmicks Needed Wrestling podcast on all your podcast platforms, such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, among many others. But you're listening to the episode right here on YouTube, so make sure you hit that like button and below, and make sure you hit the subscribe button to NC Studios and NC Level Up for all your gaming needs. This is the Nerd Coalition. Enjoy the show. Right now, Dark Side of the Ring just came back with season 5. And we got a good list of things going on there. And we kicked off season 5 with John Tenta. For those who don't know John Tenta, that is formerly known as Earthquake, okay? And before
Avalanche.
Or Avalanche.
The fact that they was like, no, that's too close to the trademark. What?
Okay. So, first off, I just want to say this real quick because I want to thank y'all out there for actually really enjoying our Dark Side of the Ring reviews. Because usually every time the season comes out, there's certain people that hit me up and say, hey, we're Dark Side of the Ring reviews. And I'll give you a shout out, Wrestling God, who definitely hit me up in one of the podcast videos last week and said, hey, this was the week that Dark Side of the Ring's coming out. Like, yo, y'all gotta tell me when y'all putting y'all stuff up. Okay, I'm just like, you know what, man, I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? So, I'll give you a shout out, bro. I appreciate you hitting me up and everything like that. And hope you enjoyed your birthday. So, let's get up into this because we kick off, like I said, with John Tenta, who was really, I had to, it hurts to say, I don't know if it hurts to say this, but it's like a breath of fresh air.
The mildest dark side of the ring.
Ever. It should just be called Inside the Ring.
Do I say just the ring?
Yeah,
just in the ring.
Or, biography, John Tenta.
Like something.
I was like, Dark Side of the Ring? Really?
I feel like the dark side we might be stretching it just a little bit.
I'm about to say, y'all gotta put some respect. I mean, ain't nothing happened.
I mean, besides like the end of his life.
Yes.
His career was, just run of the mill. Mm-hmm. He had a nice run. Nobody had a bad thing to say about this man. Not a single person.
Seriously.
I was just like, did y'all just not call the people who didn't like Bull? Or y'all was just like,
So, for those that, I know you wasn't watching wrestling in the golden era. Because that 80s golden era, it's like, okay, one, we were just being born. Okay. So, I wasn't 5 watching, Hulk Hogan and stuff like that. And once again, like I said, when I started getting into wrestling, my grandfather was into WCW, which was formerly NWA. Yeah. So, the wrestlers that I grew up with, even going back, even when my grandpa used to have the old VHS tapes, it was Ric Flair, it was Dusty Rhodes, it was Lex Luger, it was Sting, it was Barry Windham, it was all those people, the Road Warriors before they became Legion of Doom, all those guys before it wasn't even the WWF stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I wasn't even too familiar with it. I didn't start going back to learn about the WWE, the WWE stuff until later on, and I was just like, okay, so, and I used to, wrestling fans watch the old stuff. So Earthquake, I remember because me and Prime used to be getting on Earthquake out because they used to put Earthquake in all the 2K games all the time. I'm like, well, why is Earthquake and Typhoon still in this game? Even though I love the finishing move. But
Earthquake's finishing move.
Okay. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I had it, and it was a good heel team to play the game with. But after a while, I mean, I could deal with them over the Bushwhackers. Okay. I couldn't stand them Bushwhackers. But I really didn't respect this man's career, especially how they had him, in a main event program with Hogan. Back then, Hogan was the golden goose, okay? Yeah. If you working with Hogan, you're getting paid.
Somebody.
You are somebody, okay? And that's what he did. They talked about it in the beginning of the episode, how they brought Earthquake in to the business, well, at least into WWE, when Dino Bravo and Ultimate Warrior about to have a push-up contest. And Jimmy Hart was out there looking in the crowd to see who it was, and he seen this big guy in there. He was planted in there back when nobody knew about this. So remember, she's a stunt granny. Tell me you don't remember.
Yo, come on, man. Like,
Wrestling Secrets.
She's a stunt granny.
Do you remember that show?
What show?
That's the show.
Okay, so here's the problem with the internet. You will see clips of things and have no idea where they came from.
Okay, listen. Remember how they had a show with the Masked Magician? Magic Secrets Revealed. They had the same thing with wrestling.
Yeah. Okay.
Called Wrestling's Biggest Secrets Revealed.
Okay, I don't think I saw that one.
Yeah, because they did one for Magic, they did one for wrestling.
Who was it? Who hosted that one?
It was under a mask.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so they trust me. This back then before Carrie show what's up, y'all know K-Fit.
Must say because K-Fit.
Yeah. So when they
you would have to get lower to the mic like that.
That's what Kevin asked you. He talking about something, man. Well, fuck that, man. But before that, in the 90s, they had this show out, and they revealed the secrets, and then so they had this granny. This person, there's like a grandmom in the front, and then the heel come out, push the granny down, and then the guy in there was like,
she's a stunt granny. Now I've seen it. She's a stunt granny. I had no idea what that was from.
But that's what that show is from. And
she's a stunt granny. It's crazy work.
He would come down to the ring. He came to the ring, and then he's supposed to sit on Ultimate Warrior, and while Ultimate Warrior does the push-ups, he probably got blown up anyway.
Bruh.
But then he goes and sits on him, stomps on him, and then he goes get some splashes, and then, he's revealed as Earthquake, and he's going to take out Hulk Hogan and all this kind of stuff. So they get into the beginning of John, his life where he actually started out over in Japan. Well, actually, he wanted to be a wrestler, went to LSU.
And they apparently got rid of the LSU wrestling program, which is crazy.
Yeah, I don't understand why that happened. Then he went over.
They wasn't making money. You know why?
Yeah, went over to Japan and became a sumo wrestler.
That was a plot twist. I didn't see that one coming because I don't know about his career.
Yeah.
I was like, my man just was like.
Plot twist was seeing his family on screen. I was just like, who's these people?
Yo, shut up.
I'm not gonna hold you. When I first saw Dark Side of the Ring, I was just like, because I seen like a screenshot of his son. I'm just like, this is by John Tenta, right?
Yo.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is by Earthquake. And I just didn't know, and I didn't know. But
it's not funny. But it is a little bit.
But him in his sumo career, and actually he was like damn near undefeated in his sumo career.
Yeah.
I believe he was, but it was taxing on because they're very tense over there when it comes to training.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he wasn't for that, but also
my man was like, listen, y'all can have it. Yeah. I'm going back home. Yeah. I'm going back home.
And that's where he met Josephine, which is his wife.
In Japan.
Yeah.
And that's funny because she's Filipino.
Yeah.
And she was like, I was here on a visa. And just so happened to meet him.
And she was sitting there, and then they just he fell in love, and she already had a son already. And he was just like, and John said, hey, package deal, I'm taking y'all both in.
Yeah.
And we're going to be a fan. He said, that's the only dad I ever knew. And I appreciate men like that. Because there's a lot of men that that's old.
I'm going to say, oh, that's crazy.
That's baggage.
You don't got a mama you can leave him with.
Seriously.
Some people be tripping, but he did. He took the both of them.
Yeah. And they go back to, how he did these little wrestling, but then he got to become Earthquake. And his feud with Hogan, and then his feud with Jake Roberts, and how he sat and crushed Damien, which is Jake the Snake. Yeah. Which, back in the day, I said, in the kayfabe where everybody, like the WWF, with the World Wildlife, or I don't know if it was them or a lot of the animal activist organizations gave them heat.
Probably like PETA.
Yeah.
They said they was writing letters because kids was traumatized.
Yeah.
I said,
man, look.
What?
That's a good thing. You had to something like I remember when I was watching the Attitude Era, my mom was watching the Undertaker versus Kane in an Inferno match, and she said, "Oh my God, so it's probably why Undertaker had to change his character. He was scared too many kids." I said, Undertaker changed his character. He had a midlife crisis.
Stop.
That's what the fuck was happening. Okay, stop it. Because I was like, when it was the Inferno match on Raw, and Undertaker takes Stephanie's teddy bear from her room and burns the head of Vince on the ground like, ugh. And I'm like, this is fucking. And then
hella cheesy.
And I know what Jim Ross said. Make sure you put the kids to bed, and if you're in the arena, make sure this is going to be a disclaimer. You're going to be smelling burning flesh.
Burning flesh.
It's the Inferno match.
Hey yo. Hey yo.
But even still, 98, 11, 12-year-old me, I was sitting there like, yo, I see Kane's arm in that fire protective sleeve. Okay. Please, his arm wasn't that shiny when he came out.
Yo.
And then I know how the Inferno match worked. Just let it happen, you know?
Not just let it happen. That's wild.
Okay. I'm just saying. No.
Burn that man's arm. Like, damn.
No, I'm saying, you can burn to protect yourself. I'm just saying, but scared the kid. Man, don't watch his attitude there. We gotta win.
Oh my God.
Anyway, so, but after the rivalry with Jake the Snake and Hulk Hogan, things started dwindling off a little bit, and then he decided he wanted to go form a tag team with his friend. God, come on, Mr. A&E.
I forgot that man's name already.
No, I know who it is, but I want to make sure I get his name right.
His real name?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. About to say we know who.
Fred Ottman.
Okay.
There we go. Who is Typhoon?
Yes. The natural disaster.
Yes. Which honestly, before he used to look like, Bruno from Popeye the Sailor Man. That's what his thing was. It used to be Tugboat.
I saw in the footage in the dark side.
But then they turned with Typhoon, and then they became the natural disasters, and they was some big stuff.
And he better thank his lucky stars they did. Yeah. Tugboat.
They was so big. There was some big sub bitches from there, and they actually had a successful run as a tag team. Mm-hmm. And as the popularity came, and then they lost. They won the tag team titles. Then they lost the tag team titles, and then all of a sudden they started falling off for them. Mm-hmm. And Earthquake and Johnson admitted that he gets a little impatient. How he feels, as big as they were down there, where they should have to go back to the back of the line. Yeah. But that's how things rotate in wrestling. You gotta have somebody. Yeah,
that's how it works. But I mean, I could see, especially back then when it was still kind of I can't say new, but an unknown kind of landscape.
Yeah, I ain't gonna let Shawn Michaels and Margin that he act any better than us.
You could think you was gonna be on top forever and ever. I mean, especially when you had people who was champions for like 16 years or shit.
Everybody can't be Boston Celtics. Everybody can't be Bill Russell.
Oh my God.
I'm just saying, nobody can be Bill Russell. But so when things started, he left WWE. Went back to Japan for a little bit. Mm-hmm. Then we get in the rise of WCW. Then when he came into WCW, he came back. He was there as the Shark. No, first Avalanche.
Avalanche. And they were like, it was too close to the trademark of Earthquake. Yeah. So they had to rename him or redo his gimmick to the Shark. Now, in what world is an Earthquake and an Avalanche that close? Like, do they both involve moving the earth somehow?
I'm about to say,
sure.
I haven't seen that one Everest documentary. They said that earthquake caused that avalanche. He said, "Wow, too close." Okay.
y'all was doing too much. Then they made him a shark and put that ridiculous makeup on his face.
Yeah, that shit wasn't working.
No.
And also, so they talked about what he was doing, but also in WCW, they had to bring up what Fred Ottman, a.k.a. Typhoon, was doing, because he is known for also the Shockmaster, right?
Oh my God! So, the fact they devoted a piece of the episode to this is hilarious to me. Because what?
At this time,
another clip I've seen on the internet without context.
Flair for the Gold was a show Ric Flair had because he he was injured, but didn't want to come off TV. They gave him a television show. This was live, by the way.
We can tell.
Yes, and
I highly doubt that we would have seen this if it wasn't.
And he was a savage in Harlem Heat. Trust me, only one person over there could work, and that was Booker T. Nope, sorry Sid, sorry Stevie Ray. Booker T the only one that could work. And
I'm gonna say, don't let Stevie Ray hear that. He won't come to our house.
Why? The sign of the half of my book.
Ayo, please.
You brought that up. I'm just saying you know that right there. That's what I said. So Sting and British Bulldog was in it. They challenged them, and then it was obviously 2 against 3, and they needed a partner. They needed the Shockmaster. It's gonna be the debut of the Shockmaster. Shockmaster had the Stormtrooper helmet, bedazzled in glitter.
Wow, whose idea was that? And then to cut the little pinholes.
WCW had some outrageous, like, cause you know everybody was talking about WWE in '95. I was like, yeah, WCW in their early '90s stuff. Like, look, if you look at Kevin Nash's early, remember Kevin Nash used to be Oz. Kevin Nash used to be Vinny Vegas.
Vinny Vegas.
Yes. Okay.
It's crazy.
If you look up Kevin Nash, you type in Oz, and you see that ugly ass gimmick that he used to dress in.
I think Hope has.
Yeah, or back when Big Boss Man was the boss.
Oh
you know what I'm saying? But he had to change that name. Or when they even Dutch never really got rid of this dumbass gimmicks. Because I remember when they had the Wall. Okay, that was just like really. I remember when Sting the Wall. I remember when Sting came out there to save RoboCop. I was just like, WCW. But they show when the Shockmaster came out, and they say what they didn't say in the documentary was. It was a breakable wall, but he had to give it some force. But there was for some reason, a 2x4 that was drilled at the bottom of the
wall, the set.
For some reason, so when he forced through that, and he fell over that 2x4, and the helmet came off,
bruh, and he had to scramble and put it back on.
It went far wild distance, and the fact that he had to do that, put it on. Ole Anderson had to do the voice. Because I
was just like, yo, what? So you mean to tell me after all of that, is somebody in the back doing the ridiculous voice?
When they show Booker T, sometimes he's like, yo, who the fuck is this guy? Because they had the black.
He fell on his ass.
Meanwhile, Sid has to sell it like the Shockmaster. Like, I'm just like, what?
He was done, bro. His days was numbered.
One target hit here was Haku. For those who don't know, Haku is a bad motherfucker. Like backstage, like there's stories about this him biting some guy's nose off. You don't fuck with Haku, okay?
That's intense.
You don't fuck with Haku. That's one of them. If you go by like toughest, I ain't talking about people that's on top. I'm talking about toughest SOBs in the bag, like Steve Blackman, who said, like Dino Brown said, you'll be amazed to see what Steve Blackman can do with a spoon. It's like, don't fuck with him, okay? You didn't fuck with Haku, aka WCW Ming, okay? But when he never saw the Shockmaster.
He never saw that clip.
When they first showed it to him,
my man was inconsolable.
I never in the times I've seen Haku / Ming, never seen him laugh there. Laugh, period.
He was just cracking the fuck up. Like, I was like, bro, I don't think he going to come back around to us here now. He was dying. I said,
yes.
Ooh. Well then. So,
back to John Tenta.
They had to throw that in there.
Yeah. He tries to come out and says, look, I'm not a shark, I'm a fish. I'm John Tenta. He's trying to go to the WCW run as John Tenta. But honestly,
my man! I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
It wasn't working.
Mm-mm.
And honestly, that kind of character, or just even before... when we get to the mid-90s where everything is like, we're doing real stuff. You're not Razor Ramon no more. You're Scott Hall.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Those gimmicks don't work anymore. Okay? So, he comes back shortly after the WWF, and he comes back as Goga from the Oddities.
The Oddities.
I'm telling you this right now. I know you probably don't know about the Oddities. And I know because the Oddities were an overact in the Attitude Era. He came out with this mask on. He came out with this Cartman doll. He lost a lot of weight compared to what he was. And he came out with Kurgan, Luna, and that tall freak show. They were the Freak Show.
I only know about them because of the Luna Vachon episode.
They were the Freak Show, and when they came out there, they had the ICP music up, which I ain't gonna lie. Every time I hear the Oddities music, I hear the and they laugh in the beginning. Everybody come see the greatest show, and I'll be at home doing the whole
Oh my god!
Come on, I was like, I was an Oddities fan for a minute. I was like, yeah, they the Freak Show. They weird. They can't, they really. bad at wrestling. They both on Sunday Night Heat, but still, the oddity. It's hard to find people that weren't over in the Attitude Era. Okay.
Yeah.
So
you had to work hard for people to just be like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Now Jake the Snake looked at it as an insult, but that's what I was saying to you yesterday. I was like, I might disagree with you on that, Jake, because the oddities were over. Yeah,
he was just like, I feel like they wanted to cover him up. They didn't want to give him his flowers or whatever. I can't remember what he said, but I was just like, I'm gonna just take your word for it.
Man, I need to show you some clips of the oddities though. But so then when that didn't work out, he had to leave. He was working retail in the Big and Tall section, probably this Big and Tall store, just trying to make ends meet for the family. And you sit there, you probably ask yourself, how did I go from working for Hulk Hogan to working here in this Big and Tall store? But like Earl Hebner said, who was on the show also, if he had to shovel shit to take care of his family, he would.
He would, but he'll do anything to make sure his family's taken care of.
Then he started becoming a truck driver,
and I respect it.
Yeah, to be a truck driver. And then when you're a truck driver, I'm not a truck driver, but I do have a best friend that is a truck driver. But so I am assuming that this is true, that when you're driving on the road, you really can't just be making all these kinds of stops. You got a schedule.
You got a schedule to keep.
You got he said he had like a little jug so where they could pee in, go to the bathroom and keep it moving. And then he started recognizing some blood in his yard. And little blood clots. But he kind of pushed it off and didn't go to doctor to figure it out. Until things got...
Y'all, please go to the doctor.
Yeah. And, yeah.
I know I don't sound like super enthusiastic, but go to the doctor. It's a pain in the ass. We know the American healthcare system is wild.
They are.
But go to the doctor.
At least see what's wrong, because when it comes to finding out that he had bladder cancer, which they said was a very treatable...
One of the most curable cancers, apparently.
Yeah. But he just went to the doctor.
And he didn't go in time.
And now he had a baseball-sized tumor, and it was spreading.
The thought of a baseball-sized tumor is crazy. Because, I guess we don't really stop and think, the size of your organs.
Yeah.
They're not that big. To have something... Your bladder is not that big to begin with.
Yeah.
But to have a baseball-sized tumor on your bladder is horrible. But I think what happened was he started to go to chemo and do treatment, and it seemed like it was chilling out, but then it came back and it metastasized.
Yeah, and it was that's why I guess we get to the dark part of the episode where his son's getting married, and they go to the wedding. His mom was up there trying to sing a song. And then she gets uncontrolled, which is a crack. Because they didn't tell the kids.
Yeah, the kids didn't know that the cancer had came back aggressively.
Yeah. And
that the prognosis was not good. So they all upset at the wedding. Everybody probably like, bro, they real emotional about their kid getting married.
Exactly.
Meanwhile,
what the hell going on? And they talked about when it got worse, and he tried to make as much memories as he could. He was on the hospital bed. And all his kids and his wife was around there, and she said, that almost broke me.
Yeah.
When his wife was sitting there like, hey, me and the kids, we're gonna be all right.
We're gonna be okay. So if it's time for you to take your rest, take your rest.
It's just remember, I know it's gonna be so left field, but remember in that game?
Yes.
He said, Tony, you're gonna be all right.
I mean, dude.
Get your rest. I'm just like, oh my God. like you holding on to make sure everything is okay. And you're like, oh, that is same thing happened to my mom.
Yeah.
She's like, is the kids okay?
Is everybody all right?
Yeah.
Are y'all sure you're gonna be all right?
Yeah.
You gotta just let go.
Yeah.
And it was so unfortunate. And that was another thing I have to say, just as an aside. It was nice to have a story where everybody has something good to say about this person.
Yeah.
But especially the kids.
Yes.
Because we see a lot of these stories, especially about people who work in industries that are very demanding, like wrestling, where they had shit relationships with their kids. And
which, by the way, they did talk about that he was on a roll it caused arguments between
them. Yeah. I'm not saying that that didn't happen. Nobody's perfect. And you are on the road for 75-80% of the year, it's going to be rough. But his kids clearly love and miss him.
Yeah.
And they hold him in high regard. Mm-hmm. And it was nice to see. And I'm not saying, for anybody trying to come for me, I'm not saying we've never seen somebody's child on Dark Side of the Ring saying they were great. But they clearly held him and still hold him in high regard. And that was nice to see. Because he did the best he could with the time that he had.
Because he died 42 years old.
That's so young.
So young.
So young. And then it gets wild because then you keep living your life. Mm-hmm. And you just you get to the point where you've had more time without this person than with. And they just seem so it was so fresh.
Yeah.
I was like, man, that sucks. Cancer sucks.
Cancer sucks. I lost my grandfather to cancer, but and also to people out there, like you were saying earlier. But look, as a man, mm-hmm. I know it's hard to go to the doctor. Mm-hmm. I still have trouble going to the doctor. How you doing, hey Brian? I still have trouble going to the doctor. Mm-hmm. But what helps motivate me is you and the kids to help me go to the doctor. Mm-hmm. And because I be scared.
Yeah, you don't. Because sometimes you don't. You just feel like you're better off not knowing.
Not knowing. But sometimes you just gotta know so you can if you need to treat it. Because right now we are in that age right now mm-hmm. where these things are going to pop up.
Oh yeah, I'm not very. That's why even though I'm under 40, I get mammograms because my mom was not much older than I am now when she found out she had cancer.
Exactly. So it's just you gotta stay on top. It is hard. It is hard, but you gotta just keep on pushing. You gotta keep on pushing. So it's very touching.
But yes, R.I.P. the earthquake.
Yes.
It seemed to have left
quite a
mark and legacy.
Yeah.